So I'm Zach.
I'm Simon. I'm that other guy.
And we are Typo Comics, based out of Cedar Rapids, Iowa.
Indeed.
And how long have we been doing this?
30 years. 10 years.
Yeah, we've been getting together on weekends, writing and drawing various comic projects, and traveling around the Midwest, trying to sell them, and yeah.
Try to sell them out.
Just sell out.
Pour ourselves out.
Yeah. We used to be sellouts. It wasn't working for us. We weren't selling out, so we felt like frauds.
Yeah.
So
We stopped being sellouts
right.
and became
We embraced our flaws. Is what we did.
Typo Comics.
You know, that's about it. We're not after fame or anything, you know. I mean,
We just want to do comic books.
but the way to build your audience these days, I mean, it seems to be to engage, you know, just more engagement.
Well, people buy personalities as much as anything these days.
Exactly.
They just buy your personality. Your comic is almost secondary, especially in such a giant world now. But it's also kind of an anonymous world because there are so many faces out there.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think Stanley would have happened in this age.
No,
I don't think that's the case at all.
I mean, I don't think there's never any icons. I mean, it's all fractioned now. There's really no kind of mainstream media anymore. So I think you have to be louder.
Yeah, you
have to be
make
more
your
visible.
own voice.
Yeah.
Make your own voice. Absolutely.
So that's what we're trying to do, I guess, is say, hey, here we are. This is what we do. Give you more insight into, you know, kind of the everyday stuff that you don't see. I mean, when you pick up a comic book, you read it in maybe, 10, 15 minutes max, a 22-page issue. Even less than that, reading it, you know. But these take sometimes, you know, maybe a year to put together. There's a lot of work and a lot of time and a lot of effort and forethought that has to go into these just, you know, little comic books, you know. And it seems to be serialized comic books don't seem to be, it seems to be dying. I hate to use the word dying, but I think long form trade paperbacks.
I think so.
People want a whole story to digest, and I think that's why manga is such a big hit, especially.
I've been guilty of that since I was a kid.
Yeah.
And I was a kid before all of this.
Mm-hmm.
I still, as a kid, would rather have the full story in my hand. That's why books like The Crow and V for Vendetta were such a draw for me, because that was it. This was the story. I didn't have to go back to the newsstand. I lived in a horrendous neighborhood, and you had to take precautions going to the newsstand.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to go there one time, you know, and get it. And I just wanted to sit down and read it. I wanted to spend my afternoon in that world, you know, not wondering what was coming next. So I think a lot of people are like that.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a new thing. I think that maybe is just I think the new thing is that people can now make their demands more heard.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, the things that the 22-page single issues had going for them is they were cheap to make. They were cheap to sell. You could go in with 25 cents and buy a whole stack of comics. And now what is the average price of a comic? I think the average now is like $3.99.
Yeah.
It used to be $2.99 when I was really into it. $3.99 for special issues, first issues, $4.99 for maybe annuals.
Yeah.
It really depends, and yeah, I think there seems to be a bit of a resurgence with the cheap to make newsprint comics. What's that? The Alterna comics. They seem to be doing quite good for themselves just by having issues that are 99 cents, $1. Like, who wouldn't buy a comic for $1? And I'd buy, I don't know, Sonic marries Archie for $1.
Oh my.
You know.
That's a rare one, but it's out there. Yeah.
Well, certainly, maybe in DeviantArt.
Man.
Sonic impregnates Archie.
I got about
Issue 0.
3 or 4 views into DeviantArt, and I was done. And that this is a rabbit hole I'm not going to go down. I don't need this. Not on the amount of sleep that I get in any given week. So
There's
Waluigi, I saw it.
Mr. Medicare does a great series about DeviantArt and the various, I don't know, genres, fetishes, if you want to call them.
Masterpieces.
I Hate Everything does a lot of Deviant. It has a couple different I Hate DeviantArt videos. There's just a lot to hate.
If you're looking in the right places, if you're looking in the right places, you can find some.
I'm sure that there's gems. I've seen some examples that other people have pulled from DeviantArt. I haven't, like I said, I'm not that brave. I don't want to go in that far. I feel like it would end up at like 6 a.m. like the following Saturday, and I'd just be sitting there like shaking with my coffee cup, like just clicking to the next picture, like what's next? Oh my God, what's next? What could possibly follow? So, but I've seen some examples from that people have pulled that were really, really good. But at the same time, they show a level of, I don't want to say mental illness, but there are some issues. There are people out there with some issues and really steady hands. And
it's better that they're using that to draw on the computer than like carve up some prostitute in England. That's the feeling I get with some of the DeviantArts on there, because I do have an account on there.
I can't
from
talk.
Years ago.
My sketchbook is pretty.
That's bad, but it's just
at
weird.
least
it lets the mind go on
it's like, at least you can say it's building a mythology from your own life.
Right.
I mean, it is narcissistic nonsense, but you are. I can't. I have to applaud you for you're certainly. What's the word?
Self-deprecation.
Self-deprecation. I guess self. You're in touch with yourself. Whereas these guys
swinging way back to DeviantArt.
You're talking about drinking coffee and sleep deprivation and various things you observe in your life. But I mean, and some of these people on DeviantArt, they attach themselves to Sonic or whatever. I don't know. I guess it'd be nice to see some more originality, I guess.
Some of it's good though. They're good at drawing. It's just a lot of weirdness.
Well,
and they don't have to have a coherent line of drawings.
It makes me wonder, like, how much time went into pulling those examples of original, very talented, very and getting those pulled from that entire universe of what DeviantArt is primarily, which is fetishist fantasy porn and not that there's any. I mean, some people want to see that too. Some people really want to look at that, But there's a whole array, and even the things that aren't necessarily porn. Some of them, and we all struggle with this. They've been done, and you can definitely tell not only which artist inspired them, which I think that's okay, but in a lot of cases you can tell which artists' work inspired them, which painting inspired them to do this painting. They're very similar. There's very few twists, and compositionally very much the same. I think very homogeneous across that, but I don't know. Like I said, I don't want to delve into it. I do. I got a few views in, and I was
who were you inspired by?
Enough about DeviantArt and what
Ernie Chan
inspired
me. Old Conan comics.
Oh yeah.
You remember Ernie Chan? I met him.
Did I tell you he eviscerated my portfolio?
Did he really?
Yeah, I gave it to him.
He liked mine.
I was younger and more foolhardy.
I told him that he inspired me to draw in the first place.
Well, there you go.
And then gave him my portfolio.
There you go. I didn't know who he was.
That's the way you do
and maybe that rubbed him the wrong way.
That may have been.
But my shit did suck.
Bad
it didn't suck. You were young.
Well, no.
You were young.
I mean, not... I've improved, let's say.
Yeah, well, you have improved. Everybody's improved.
Yeah.
I was inspired by Ernie Chan. I was inspired by certainly fantasy art like Boris Vallejo, Julie Bell, but back, from the pages of heavy metal. I didn't, back then Boris Vallejo didn't have massive books of his work.
Mm-hmm.
He was that guy that did movie posters and did some work on heavy metal covers, and that was it.
Yeah.
But I loved it. I loved just the look of his work. And I think anybody with a paintbrush can aspire to, if they're working in fantasy, that's someone they can aspire to, to be like. But at least in terms of what he does, his compositions, his colors, his everything, just incredible. There's a whole array of people I was inspired by, though. I think we can all say, who are you?
There was kind of an evolution. Like when I was a really little kid, I was into like little comic strips.
Mm-hmm.
Garfield, I loved newspaper comics, the Sunday Funnies.
Yeah.
Garfield, like anything, like I even done Beetle Bailey, back then. Calvin and Hobbes. I got my hands on some of those compendiums.
Okay.
My aunt gave me, and those blew my mind. Those were great works of art. And then it all kind of changed. My jump into long form comics. I got my first issue of Wizard. I believe the first one I got, it had a cover of Spider-Man kind of crouching and then Venom kind of just jumping over him, about to attack him. And I kind of had this thing where it's like I wanted to buy all the comics when I was a kid, and you can Mom only let me get one or two comics, so I split the difference by just getting an issue of Wizard for $4.99, $5.99, and I could I didn't get the actual comics, but I got to see tons and tons of different artwork, and that really kind of started me on the path where I am now. So, what about you, Simon?
So first things I tried to draw was the Ninja Turtles. So the Saturday morning cartoons, crappy animation like the Super Mario Brothers 3 cartoon, and then we used to have these things called libraries, where you'd go and there'd be books you could sit there for hours and like read or look at the pretty pictures, because there was the humor section, and that was like old Sunday Funnies. And I found some really neat stuff. Walt Kelly did this thing, Pogo. It's like an old 1940s, 1950s, like Happy Animal Folk. And it was like a politicized cartoon. It was just neat to look at. A lot of the humor sections there. So like old Garfield before it was like, you could see it kind of grow. Like he looks weird, like a mutated potato.
Yeah.
And then he became like this iconic looking Garfield.
Got streamlined, the eyes got bigger.
That's all weird, good weird stuff. Ziggy, that pinhead.
Oh yeah.
Comic was actually really well drawn. It was a Sunday Funny, but it was really well drawn. Bloom County.
Bloom County.
Yeah, Burke Brith, he can draw, man. He can really draw. So yeah, it is like a hodgepodge. Didn't really have too many comics when I was growing up that I could buy, that I tried to sent over from him. And then I was in that horrible Sonic phase when I was like 12 or 13. You could buy the Sonic comics at the Hy-Vee grocery store for like $1.50.
Yeah.
And they sell the turning racks of comics.
Yeah, the squeaking.
Yep.
I love that squeak.
You miss it.
You guys have been doing this longer than me. Like I met you guys, I think, 2007, and you guys kind of already had a group. At the time, it was I kind of went by names. It was a collective of people who met, on the weekend. They love making comics, so it's a very solitary thing, making comics. So when you can find people in Cedar Rapids, like when I first came, there was like 10, 12 people there, besides myself.
There were a lot, yeah.
Yeah, and I was blown away, and everybody had very different tastes and different influences, and
which is always good.
Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, you guys hated like superhero comics, and that blew me away.
That
too.
was a Simon thing.
That was a Simon.
I've grown. I've got.
Well, you had your I hate Captain America
I
tirades.
did. And it's funny you mentioned Garfield. I remember actually in the back of one of the Garfield collections, I was shocked and dismayed as a child because they had this little section at the end of the collection And that was where I first learned about inkers.
You like draw this or something?
I ink it, and I'm also the colorist. The guy next to me draws it, but we both came up with the characters. Next.
Does that mean you ink it?
Well, it means that Holden draws the pictures in pencil, and then he gives it to me to go over and ink. Next.
So basically, you just trace.
It's not tracing, alright? I add depth and shading to give the image more definition. Only then does the drawing truly take shape.
And I didn't understand that there were 2 pencilers in the Garfield comics. You know, Jim Davis went through and they showed that he drew it in the blue pencil, and I thought, oh, that's awesome. And then they showed this other guy who wasn't Jim Davis drawing it over those lines in pencil, regular graphite pencil, and then they showed this other guy who was neither Jim Davis or the first guy inking it. And that was my first introduction to how this was all done. You know, and it was shocking.
Yeah.
Because at the end of it, you know, in my mind, because I was looking at it from the art standpoint, I was already drawing. In my mind, then, Jim Davis had very little to do with the whole process. You know, I mean, he thought up the comics, sure, he thought up the stories, but you know, as far as the drawing goes, he didn't really do a lot of it anymore.
And with the tea you fucking drink, sir! I'll drink the chocolate around your dead fucking body, you fuck!
Well, from what I understand, he was more of a. I mean, he definitely was a businessman.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that was his goal from the outset. I don't think he was so much as an artistic visionary as he was, you know, kind of a guy looking to make a buck, which he certainly did, and
Still continues to.
Money and fuck bitches. All I wanna do is get money and fuck bitches. All I wanna do is get money and fuck bitches. All I wanna do is get money and fuck bitches.
It's too easy.
I mean, I grew up loving Garfield. I grew up
didn't?
with Garfield and Friends.
Yeah.
That was amazing. I love that show. I even watched the Christmas show to this day. I mean, it's, you know.
I've never seen the Garfield movie because I feel like I like Bill Murray too much.
It's weird.
I have too much respect for Bill Murray.
Lorenzo Music was
Yeah.
what was his name? He was Garfield
He
in the
was-
TV show, and then Bill Murray was Garfield and then he was Bill Murray's character from Ghostbusters and the Ghostbusters. It's
I
really
think
strange.
that was
Turnaround.
a matter of a cosmic import. Like, if Bill Murray didn't take that movie role, something really bad was going to happen.
Human sacrifice, dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria!
It's such a
I mean,
dumb
have you
actor.
seen the Garfield movie?
Yeah, I did.
Did you really?
You're the one?
It was a date movie.
It was you.
Good.
It
Yeah.
was you.
A date movie.
I saw the Shaggy Dog on a date too.
Is she around?
No.
No. And do you know why? Garfield. I can say that stuff to him. I'm his brother.
I'm glad it was that.
I can say it because I don't care.
And
I have
some
feelings.
weird hair that she had. I'm glad that's what it was. It's because Garfield.